Hey everyone, welcome to Games Overboard. I'm PJ.
I'm Dan.
I'm Angie.
And we're joined by two really generous people who have given us their time. If you want to introduce yourselves.
Evan.
That's Evan Halbert. I'm Ryan Mock. We are the co-designers of After the Empire and some other games that we're working on.
Well, that was more professional than
Yeah.
I did.
Yes, and After the Empire is why we're here. You guys were commented on our post, and so first off, we have a question for you.
May I
Okay.
answer? May I ask this one?
Yes, go for it.
How the hell did you find us?
Well, if you do, so, when you design a game, it's like your baby. And
Yeah.
if somebody says something about your baby, you want to go see, do they think it's ugly? Do they like it? Do they like holding it?
I
You
wouldn't know. I'm already divorced once. I've never have children. The only child
I do a Google search about every week that says showed results from just this week. Just like when I'm bored at work, I'll be like, let's see if
okay.
anything new's come out. So I
Interesting.
usually catch most things
So-
that Google catches.
So
Yeah, so he
Google
got it.
betrayed
He was
us.
like, Yeah.
Google
yeah.
helped us in this regard.
Yeah.
So-
You say banana, I say fuck you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
Shouldn't have used the title of the game in your post about it. Yeah,
That was
your
mistake.
first mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I just talk. He does all the other work.
There you go.
That's right. Yeah.
It is.
So, I am very interested in this game. Like this, it's unlike a lot of games. Like other than the worker placement aspect, like the tower defense part of it and all that is, and obviously the pieces, the components are unlike anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So first off, let me pull up some of my questions here because I have some questions. So the first one we got out of the way.
On the
It's on the cuff. Yes. Yeah.
Well, that was the most important question. Like that's the
Oh,
one
yeah,
that we
that
had been
was-
talking about ever since
How
you
did
guys
you
reached
find
out to us.
Yeah, we were.
Like, how? And I was like, did you hashtag it or something or whatever the kids call it now? Did you put it? He's like, no. How the hell did they find it? We're just this dinky little shit podcast that no one listens to. How did you find
Yes.
us?
Yes.
You know what I'll say is this industry is so small that nobody is tiny.
There is that. Yeah.
I'll bite my tongue on that one.
Everybody's important.
And I have some big questions about that coming up. First, tell us about yourselves, though. How you got into gaming and how you two met. Let's just start with that.
Yeah, so I got into gaming years ago, obviously as a kid playing D&D, then later on Magic the Gathering, eventually opened a friendly local game store in 2010. Ran that for about 6 years and tried to do an ill-fated Kickstarter back in 2014. And then this guy was like, hey, we met wait tables
Yeah.
and we realized we were both nerds and played Magic together and stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But he was like, hey, I know you designed that one game that failed on Kickstarter a while back.
You want to try for another?
Yeah, it's so amazing and horrible. It's horrible amazing. It's pretty incredible.
I like it. I
But
like it.
he was like, hey, you want to help me with this idea I have? And I was like, yep. He's like, do you want to know what it is? I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that'll help.
Yeah. So I was in for whatever, and it just turned out that it was a pretty cool combination of mechanisms that that you don't really see together. And so for better or worse, whatever people want to say about it, it is very unique.
Mhm.
I happen to love it, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my background's reasonably similar. I mean, like I started D&D when I was really little, like 5, but I actually haven't played it once since. Like I've done like one session ever since then. And I got into like Magic, a couple years later, and I played Magic with just a couple holes, almost the entirety of its history at
Yeah.
this point, which I think Evan has too.
Oh, wow.
Which I mean, honestly, is like a great pathway into design because they have so hard had to like scrape the bottom for ideas that they've like worked every mechanic that card game can be, and they still come up with new ones. So like, it's a good view of like how to stretch your design. But then, I played board games some when I was a kid, like Hero Quest, stuff like that. But then when I was older, my buddy Hans who ended up being my business partner, my own local game store I opened after Evans, also in Portland.
Copycat.
Copycat. He got me into like the modern world of board gamings. And so like around the time that I came up with the idea initially and then we worked on it together, we were playing games like Agricola and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was kind of like the worker placements of the time.
Pillars of the Earth.
Pillars of the Earth, which is still an underrated game.
Galaxy Trucker.
Galaxy Trucker, which you can
I
feel
still
Galaxy
need
Trucker.
to play that one.
Yeah, that one's so good.
If you like After the Empire, you're primed to like Galaxy Trucker.
Yeah.
Somewhat. They're not
Very, very different mechanically, but the feeling of trying to just land in port with one piece of cargo.
Just limp to the finish line.
yeah. Yeah, it's very much that kind of way. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, like, yeah, what he said was basically it, where we just, I had an idea because I don't know if I had yet met our mutual friend, Tim Eisner, who's a pretty well-established Portland designer. He's done
Wonderland's War.
Wonderland's War is his
Great
big
Forest.
That's why the
Title
name's
Blade,
familiar.
Cowboy 2.
Yeah, so he's done some more well-known games, but when I opened my game store, I think I met with him. I think this is the correct way this went down. I met with him because he wanted to sell March of the Ants, which was the one
Right.
he self-published under his label, which is Weird City Games. He wanted to sell it at my local game store, and so we just got together and we were chatting. And I think that's kind of when it opened my eyes. Like I play tested. What was the one that was Alice in Wonderland? Not Alice in Wonderland. Three Little Pigs.
That turned into Grim Forest.
That was
Grim
Grim Forest,
Forest.
Yeah, so I play tested an early version of that at that meeting, and I think that's what planted the seed in my head of like, oh, just like you can do this.
Yeah, people can do that.
You can just make it.
You can just do.
And Kickstarter was like starting to become more established as like a place that like new game designers can get done. So, yeah, that was sort of that initial thing. Was just it planted that seed, and then I thought about like what game do I want that doesn't exist, and that's where I got the idea. And then what Evan said, I brought it to him because I wanted to do it with somebody. So
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
So was it always a worker placement, like tower defense hybrid, or was there?
The tower defense part is interesting because everybody calls it tower defense and they're not wrong. That was not the mechanism that I set out, at least, to make.
Yeah.
That was just the solution for how combat would play out.
Yeah, I just can't imagine that. Like, I don't know what other term you would use for it, but yeah,
No, it's accurate. I think it's accurate for as best as we can be accurate, but like
Yeah.
it definitely feels like a tower defense, and you are building towers to defend. So how much better
Right.
could that be?
uh-huh.
Except it's missing the traditional like pathway of like
Right.
winding pathway.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
otherwise,
Right.
I think-
Set up multiple towers and they have to go through the.
yeah.
Yeah,
but I
right,
still think I think it's an appropriate description. It's just that's the mechanic we didn't set out to make, but we did end up making.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Yeah.
replacement was from the onset. Yeah.
I would say of most designs I've ever seen throughout a pathway of design and development, After the Empire probably changed one of the least
Yeah.
of any game pathway I've seen. Like what we ended up with is so similar to what we started with on like a white piece of crepe paper.
Yeah, we still have that piece of paper, and there are some actions that still do the identical thing from like 7 years when they first went down on
Yeah.
a piece of paper.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when we started, the worker placement wasn't quite as basic as it seems now because we designed it like 8 years ago.
And then now it's been like 10. But when
10
we,
years
when we
ago?
started it was 7 years from beginning to like it was on shelves.
Mhm.
But, yeah, sorry, we're answering probably a lot of your future questions.
Oh, sorry.
That's
go ahead.
fine. That is absolutely fine. So you're demoing the game, showing it off to people, things like that. At what point did you realize, like, we have something here? Like, was there a specific moment for you?
I don't know, SaltCon?
Maybe SaltCon, yeah.
Yeah, where you put it out on the table and you've got the fun little fiddly bits to fiddle with. And
Finley!
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
People are doing this with the things and,
because we had 3D printed the walls in our prototype.
Yeah.
So it already kind of felt like it feels in the final.
Okay.
and it's just one of those things where somebody walks by the table and they go, "Oh, what the heck is this?" And you're like, "Well, it's a game, it's like a 2-hour light medium worker placement with a thing, and you do some stuff." Oh, well, how long does it take? I'm like, "Well, like I said, it's a midway."
Yeah.
I'm like, "You can just sit down and play around." And without, with maybe 2 exceptions, every single person who ever sat down under the premise of you can just play 1 round and walk away, sat down and finished a complete game.
Nice.
And that was really telling. I didn't know how telling it was in that
Yeah.
moment because that was our first real design.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know that was special.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That you sit down under the premise of, you sit down for 5 or 10 minutes and then you can walk away, and then nobody did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely telling for sure. So Dan absolutely like fell in love with
I love
game.
this game. Absolutely
you.
love this
Yeah.
game. I
That's
love
correct.
I love
Yeah,
the
that is
tower.
correct answer.
That's the right answer.
Well, yeah, someone has to be the right answer here, guys. No, I really loved the. You really have to have a certain mindset and strategy to do this kind of game.
Or you can have my mindset.
You just
We'll get to that.
everything.
We'll get to that. That's
get to
actually one of our questions. We'll get to in a bit. Though I do have a big question for. Well, it's not a big question. A question that's been going through my mind ever since we played it was. I'm sorry. Was that too close to my face?
You were popping. It was annoying.
Or was he full plosive land?
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what I do.
Fix that in post. You can plose and post.
That's right. That's right. So
Yeah.
the directional cards that the attacks are coming from, was that something that you guys always had in mind that it would be that way?
I think
Pretty much.
I think I pretty much had that idea from the onset.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Because that's brilliant. That's something that out of all of the games that PJ and I have played, that's something that never crossed my mind. Usually if you have something like that kind of mechanic, it's, everything has to be laid this way, and you flip it over, and that's the direction, and you flip this one over, and this is the direction, and you only have a limited amount of cards, and this is, well, how did you put the damn things back? I don't know, I just shuffled them together. Well, now it's completely random.
It really
Yeah.
screws with somebody with OCD.
Yeah, it does. And that's hilarious.
Well, we agree with you, and that's actually been an incredibly divisive point.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people will post in reviews or in forums just saying that like we were stupid to not have, like William calls dumb for not including like D4s, or like because you can't possibly sleeve it when you spin shuffle, even though our copy's been sleeved since day one and played maybe 400 times with sleeves on it.
I think one sleeve broke once.
Yeah, but it's like, just people like
It's not hard
Yeah.
to spin, shuffle,
Yeah.
sleeve.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't
you
understand.
just have to riffle. But yeah, it's just like we agree, like we like the replayability, especially because it is that thing of like you could memorize the deck and go, all the Western cards have already come out. So I don't have to, like, it's not likely, but like that, we didn't want that to be possible.
Yeah.
And this way, it's just that variability of game, and it has that potential of like, oh no, that everyone's attacking from the same side, which probably if we controlled them perfectly, we would make very unlikely.
Right.
Still is, but it can happen and be exciting. You know?
I love
Right.
how often people have told me stories about everything coming from the same side.
Yeah.
And if you compare them with the actual statistical probability of that happening, some of these people must be lying. But I love that it has happened, and it's the story that comes out of it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those are your outliers.
story that
That's the
comes out of-
anomaly.
That's what led us to make this podcast, is the stories that these games
Yeah.
can tell, and
Right.
how I became a tyrant, which we'll get to.
We'll get
But-
to that.
But yeah, like again with the square shaped cards and everything, like again, like you said, when you flip that over, it's not they all attack from the west, it's whatever the direction it's coming from your perspective. So it's
Right.
different for every player, which again just adds so much to it, I think. Like
Oh,
And
I've
that
never
was not initial idea. That just kind of was like playtesting led us to that idea. Because we waffled for a bit, but we like that too. That like
I think it's
just
great.
What you're looking at is what you see. It helps people visualize where it's coming from.
It's
right?
as if your player board is a part of the countryside.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if they're coming from this direction, that's this direction for
Yeah.
each board. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Dan fell in love with it. I really like the game. My issue is my brain just can't follow your brains. Like it's just different thought processes going on. I know it's a miscommunication. I know it is. And it's just like I just can't lock down in my head how the battles are supposed to take place. So I'm always there with the rule book, like, okay, this happens. Now this happens, and then this, and and so if that's so I'm always like, I'm frustrated because like I love the idea of this game and everything. It's just I wish I could wrap my head around the flow of it, and that's my biggest issue.
I really wish we would have recorded that session
Oh my god, it would have been
Um,
hilarious.
because
Just
these,
watch the first Dice Tower playthrough, and you'll get it a recreation.
Oh, yeah, Mike
they also struggled with it. It was
Yeah,
like
No,
so
Mike DeLisio, in every group, there's one person who it just doesn't grok, right? It just doesn't
Yeah.
happen. And Mike Felicio, the look on his face was cracking me up because he was the one in that group. Everybody else was like, "What's wrong with you? This is totally easy." And he's like, "Oh, I hate it."
Mike
when-
cracks me up. I love him.
When we played it, like, yeah, like he said, he was pulling out the rope, going, "Hold on, I do this, and then I do this," and Angie's over going, "Wait, what? What?" And I'm going, "Yeah, I'm already done."
Yeah.
The truth is
that?
that PJ only excels at deck building games.
He
yeah,
does.
That's it.
I am my own worst enemy in all games.
He is, and it's hilarious because we really need to start recording our gameplay sessions.
Yeah, well, we tried live streaming. We're gonna start live streaming.
Yeah, we want to
some
start
more,
live
but-
streaming some more, and every game, you'll always hear, "What? Oh fuck! No, I screwed myself." Like,
Oh wait, no, I didn't.
wait, wait, no, should I do it? Oh wait, oh no, I should. I'm like, PJ, just fucking play, dude.
Well, what game was it? It was, I forget what game it was, but like what I do is I make all these plans. I think it was for this game actually, for the review. I make all these plans like I'm gonna put worker here, then I'm gonna put worker here, and that will let me do this, and that will let me do that. And then when my turn comes around, I'm like, I'm gonna put a worker way over here. And
Yeah,
and,
that was
then,
this one.
and I'm like, I don't know why I
Why'd you
did
do
that.
Wait, but my plan.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like when we play with JB and it's cooperative. JB,
Oh, God.
our buddy JB hates playing with me. He's like, "I love you, man, but fuck you. I'll never play this game with you again because you are the worst partner ever." I'm like, well, "Why?" Was it Beast?
Beast,
We were playing
yeah.
Beast. I'm like, what do you mean?" "Well, we make up a plan. Like, we literally sat there for 5 minutes making up a plan while PJ was setting things up as the Beast. And then you went the opposite direction." I'm like, "Yeah, I got sidetracked." My ADD kicked in now. "Ooh, what's this?"
Was this the one where you were planning out where you were gonna go, and then like, oh, what should I do?
Oh, don't you do it? Yeah, this is the
Don't you
same.
do it? And then I forget what he's like. Oh, he's
Yes.
gonna go here and get the. He's
Yeah,
gonna get mercenaries. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go over here. He's like, God damn it!
My brain can't remember a plan anyway, so I just wait until it's my turn, glance at the board, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this.
Tactical.
Yeah, there we go.
That's kind of how I operate. These two idiots just
She calls us idiots. Yeah.
they really are.
I
Sometimes
won this one.
they sabotage each other, and
We
then I
do.
win.
We do.
That's perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds like a strategy to me.
That is how you do it.
Yeah, I guess kind of is.
Yeah. So you won the Dice Tower Seal of Excellence for
You did?
this. You got a
Yeah.
stamp of approval there. How'd that feel?
Shocking and
It was-
awesome.
It was surprising. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you never know what people are going to think, right?
Mhm.
Some people love a thing, some people hate a thing. You never know, and just like the reality of that happening was like, oh, really?
Us? Okay, cool.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy because creative endeavors get out into the world and that somebody else sees or finds and then ends up enjoying
Mhm.
is that's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling and it's very imposter syndrome-y, and you're like, wait, you think what about my game? You liked it? You spent how long playing it and you enjoyed that and thought it was worthwhile? It's pretty cool to see people enjoying things that you made.
Mhm.
Tom, I mean, like I actually met Tom once and like thanked him to his face for it, but like his review, I think kind of saved the game.
Yeah.
As far as like it already had like a decent Kickstarter, like it was
Mhm.
well received, but like as soon as his video came out, like we suddenly like started ranking. Like I think at one point we hit number 2 on the hotness list on BGG,
Yeah.
which like we
Yeah.
weren't prior just from our campaign. So he really brought it into a lot of people's views. So I was really appreciative of that.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, Dice Tower has a lot of sway, but especially if Tom takes the time to do the review, it's going to carry even more sway.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he put us on in his top 10 lists of the year at the end of the year too, which was really great.
Right.
But
Yeah. So did Roy.
yeah, but it was
Huh.
Dice Tower was a perfect microcosm of, because like Mike Delicio, didn't like the game at all, and he said as much. It's fine. I mean, like reviewers have different tastes, but it's like a perfect microcosm of like we know the game can be a little divisive
Yeah.
depending on your tastes, and that was like a perfect view of that, But we were
Mhm.
stoked to have the positive feedback from Tom and Roy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, getting a
Yeah.
good review from Tom has gotta feel good because he's
Yeah.
such a loud voice in the industry. You
Yeah,
know?
and he's been like my main favorite reviewer for a long time.
Yeah.
So like when I was designing the game, like the reviews I listened to the most were usually his. I mean, not the
Mhm.
only person. That he was just early days especially was one of the more well-known voices.
So we
Yeah.
designed it specifically
Yep,
so
yep,
that he
yep.
would like it.
This is for Tom.
Yeah.
I think I saw that printed on one of the cards. Very fine print.
Yes.
I love you, Tom.
In the stained glass.
Oh,
it says
that's I
Tom.
knew it. That's
That's
very
my
Spelled
favorite
VASSEL.
part.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Tom Vassal. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
So-
my god, why?
Yeah.
So, with the artwork and everything, like, it's gorgeous. Again, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
stained glass backings of the decks and things like that. And I saw there's like quite a lengthy list of
The stained glass?
I
Sorry,
think it was
sorry,
mine,
go
but
ahead.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
yeah. We have it right there. We can
Oh yeah.
show off some, but so
Here, I'm just gonna.
I don't know how I want to start with it. Let's start with, first off, there are so many artists listed.
Yeah.
How do you, like, did you have a lot of them lined up, or was that something that Gray Fox hooked you up with?
So we had an interesting story on this. I'll let you talk. Evan art directed a little more than I did. I just complained about things I didn't like. But I'll tell the backstory of, we were going to self-publish this game. Like I said, we designed it during the initial hot streak of everything hitting on Kickstarter. And it was people without a company could do their own, which is still true, but harder now.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was, we were just going to self-publish it, which is why we went to SaltCon, why we went to KubaCon, why we were hitting cons hard that year. And we actually, Evan by himself went to Geekway to the West because I just couldn't make that con. And that's when Gray Fox, that's their local con, walked by the table and picked it up. So we had actually art directed almost the entirety of the art in that game prior
Okay.
to Gray Fox even getting engaged. We didn't even think we were going to engage a publisher.
Yeah.
So I'll let Evan,
Yeah.
that was his part in it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, we art directed almost the entire thing. We had an old box cover. The box cover you see now is the biggest art change that was made.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great for the better.
Yeah.
I loved our original box
Yeah.
cover, but it definitely wouldn't have sold as well. It's not as punchy.
If you go to BGG and click on the image of the cover, if you
Mhm.
scroll far back, you'll see our original cover.
Oh,
Yeah.
too.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so here's one of the cards that in question.
Yeah, the
that-
stained glass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, those turned out great.
Yeah,
we
it looks
had our
amazing.
stained glass art. Gray Fox did it better.
Yeah, that was Tyler, right? That did those.
Can't remember.
Tyler Myatt, I think
Yeah.
so. But yeah, those turned out awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, we had some stained glass stuff. They just wanted a cleaner line look.
Yeah, yeah.
So we still did stained glass. So,
Yeah.
So they made a few changes, but we had, I would say, 90% of the art that is still in the game was
Oh,
the
wow.
art that we had directed prior to signing it.
All the cards, the board, and the player boards were all art that we art directed.
They did a few more cards, but
They
like
did.
trapped walls,
Yeah,
turrets.
couple.
but
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Did you always know that these would be 3D pieces? Did you ever have a plan B of this is too expensive, we need a 2D variant of this or something?
Yeah, so we were planning to go to Kickstarter, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months after Geekway,
Mhm.
when Gray Fox approached us, and we changed our plan. But our original plan was to do a cheapy version and a deluxe version, and the cheapy version would have little cardboard,
Thick punch board or something.
punch
Yeah.
board with
Okay.
holes in it that you could put the cubes in.
Hmm.
But we never, I mean, we did make some and mock them up and mess with it a little bit, but we always played with the plastic pieces because it's just more fun.
Yeah.
You can call it silly or whatever, and maybe it is. I don't know. It's just more fun.
It is.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree with you. Whenever we pull out a game and we have the cardboard tokens and pieces and everything, yeah, that's not bad. I wish it would have been a little more substantial, but
Yeah.
it's not bad.
Yeah,
And then we get those games that have those pieces like yours. It's like, yeah, that's it. That's the ticket.
Yeah.
Or what you guys do and what Stonemaier Games does is you can buy the base game and then there's deluxe components that you
Right.
can buy,
Oh my god.
and that's because that's we talked to Jamie 3 times now, and
yeah.
and every time we talk about just how wonderfully tactile his games
Yeah.
are, and it's that's one of the big things about board games is you want that's one of the draws of it.
You
Yeah, I think
always,
people can be negative and view some of that stuff as gimmicky sometimes, but when used right, we just knew you interact with those walls all the time. The
Right.
game is about the walls and your tableau, but physical
Yeah.
pieces. So
Yeah.
you're right. Like it's for in person, you want to have some tactile fun. It's part of the fun, you know?
Absolutely.
Well, not just that, but
Gotta
you-
play with your toys.
Yeah, exactly. No, you know, when you have those kinds of pieces, you always get the sense that this is going to be durable. I'm not going to have to worry about being
Right.
super careful with this, or oh no, I ruined this piece of cardboard. Now I can't play the game the way it's intended, or
Mhm.
Right.
you know, how am I going to get a replacement? Like these things are built pretty sturdy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're very. I've never heard of one breaking. I'm sure it has happened, but I've never heard of
Yeah,
one
I've
breaking.
never even shipped one.
But yeah, any game you can just make into a spreadsheet, right?
Mhm.
And you can play the spreadsheet. That's not very fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that you do when you're at work and you're like, I just want to play this real quick and like make sure the boss doesn't
Right.
see me.
It looks like I'm looking because it's a spreadsheet.
Exactly.
That's right,
What are you
yeah.
doing? I'm making up these spreadsheets, boss.
Yeah.
Okay, please leave so I can continue. Okay, go play the game.
The Demon Barber. Why is that in a spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a code name for Bob next
Yeah,
door.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good save, good save.
Todd, actually.
Sweetie.
Oh my goodness. So you guys have listened to the podcast before, correct?
One. I listened
Yeah,
to
You
one.
listened to one.
one,
Okay,
okay.
so unfortunately, then you know that I'm an actor, and I
So
delve
see,
into that kind of. You do? Holy
do.
crap!
I'm not like well known or anything, but
Neither am I.
Yeah, I want to mention that because you're like almost a jack of all trades when it comes to that kind of stuff. I saw in an interview here like some of the things you do, so I want to ask you about some of those. But anyways, continue, Dan.
I lost my train of thought now.
You're an actor.
Yeah.
you're an actor. You're a star.
Oh no, dear God, no.
Someone get him his script.
Where'd my script go? I lost.
He's lost.
Line.
He's
line.
lost.
No,
Toby, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't think that was my line. I don't think I was yelling at a cat named Toby.
He's going crazy over something over there. His tail's moving. And...
Oh my God.
Evan has that effect on cats.
When he was trying to climb the wall and dude, what the
My
hell?
sultry voice.
Mm-hmm.
I completely
Ow,
lost my.
you fucker! He just bit me. God damn it!
Yep. Now I completely lost my train of
All
thought.
right.
Anyway,
Not petting you anymore. We're not friends.
Okay.
She gets really mean with cats. You know, they bite her once. She's
Listen, this is
done.
not the first time we've not been friends.
Yeah, I know. He's a dick.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
I don't remember anymore. I completely lost it. We'll go to another question.
Okay,
I
so
guess.
when it comes to the Kickstarter, you said you were pretty grateful for Gray Fox to find you and offer to publish because of the whole like they would handle shipping and
Shipping.
shipping.
Oh,
They would
yes, the
handle
shiplings.
the shipping and distribution and all
Name of the
that.
next game is called Shipling.
Yeah,
Shipling's always your biggest cost.
it
right.
always is.
Damn those shiplings.
Had now in hindsight, are you still glad you did it? Would you have tried it on your own independently if you would do it again, or
No.
Nope.
yeah?
Yes, yes, first one, no, second one.
Okay, yep.
We're very glad. Still, even though we had planned to launch it on our own, what we have learned and the experiences we've had since then have just reinforced how glad we are
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we did not self-publish and that Gray Fox took a chance on us.
Yeah.
And when other, the design community is filled with people with a dream, right? And everyone is hitting the pavement trying to, get pitches with publishers and do this stuff. And so when I sheepishly tell them how we got signed, they're like, "What? You son of a-"
Yeah.
I'm like, I think we didn't really even try. It just
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
We were just in the right place.
Yeah.
Shane walked by and saw our sweet walls and was like, "Oh, what the heck's this?" like
those are some sweet looking walls. I need to get on this shit.
Just gotta have all the fancy toys, And
That's right.
yeah. So like we definitely lucked out, very much so. There's not the normal pathway to getting a game signed.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
happened. I feel super grateful, and we've made I don't know about thus far,
Yeah.
lifelong friendships.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like our developer Josh, who's do you guys know like developers in some of these publishing companies? I don't know if you've talked to any of them yet, but Josh is the developer at Gray Fox, and he lives in Albania now. And like I'm gonna maybe try to visit him abroad this year. Like I feel like we've made
oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. I feel very, very, very grateful and lucky in life generally and getting to meet and work with the folks at Gray Fox, it's definitely included in how lucky I feel in life.
Yeah.
This guy's okay too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Take him or leave him. It's fine.
We know how that goes. That one over there, I just,
Yeah, I know.
I got away and then it came back. So
You got something? Do you have a
and
question?
then I came up with.
Yeah, he didn't. It's not there.
I know his script.
I'm
he
an
just-
actor.
Yeah, actor. Is there anything?
I.
No.
Yeah,
it's
where
gone.
were you going with that?
I don't remember. I really don't remember. It's been a long day, guys. It's
You
been
may
a
have seen
long
me in
day.
such films as.
Now I'm just thinking of Troy McClure. Hi, I'm
Yeah,
Troy McClure. You might
I'm
remember
Troy
me from
McClure.
such films as Christmas Ape and Christmas Ape Goes Hollywood.
Gossip Simpson's so good.
Yeah.
I really do miss him. He was probably one of the best voice actors and just fantastic comedians ever. So, I do want to get into this real quick. So on our gameplay, PJ
God.
failed so miserably he became a dirty, dirty tyrant.
Yeah.
What do you guys feel about that tyranny strategy?
So my tyranny
Lay
strategy.
out what you mean by tyranny strategy, so we know we're talking about the right thing.
So,
All of his farms burned to the ground.
he completely neglected feeding his people.
I
He
let
just-
them burn.
He just decided, screw it. Let the barbarians take that out. I'll just pay the gold.
Yeah. I was like, I'm like modern day, the bad parents. Like, I'm not gonna cook you food. Just here's $5. Go get something across the street.
Here's $10. Go watch a Star Wars.
Yeah.
This answer is going to get mixed responses from the crew, I think. Not only is that fine, we're reinforcing it in the expansion.
Oh.
Not a lot, but some.
Okay.
It's a feasible, reasonable, strategic pathway
Yeah.
to let the farms burn.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's a legitimate strategy.
See, that's
You
right.
were cool before it was cool.
That's right.
And
It's
they all laughed at me. They're like, "You are just horrible," and I'm like,
As we've got all
"They're
this
gonna
food.
eat. They're just gonna have
Yeah,
to get it
however you
from
want to
someone
fix it,
else."
you know?
Yeah.
Here I had like hundreds of food, and Peter's like, "Yeah, I got shit."
I always made sure I had just enough food for all of my people.
I couldn't. Again, I can't. I just can't wrap my head around. I'm like, how do you have food? How do you even have a farm? Like, I just can't.
The real answer is buying the right cards, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Protecting
usually,
your damn farms.
if you get late game and you're like struggling to keep up and you're like, I don't have enough actions to keep up, you probably didn't buy enough cards.
Yeah.
My strategy in that was at first I built up my actual townspeople till I had what was it? I think I had like 10 or 15 townspeople. And then
Oh, soldiers, you mean?
yeah, soldiers. And then, I used the food that I had for them. And then afterwards it just went to, well, screw it. I have all this gold. Mercenaries. That'll bolster the rest of my the rest of my forces. And that's something that you neglected. Completely neglected. I think you did it one turn.
Well, there are so many, because I was like, well, if I just make a turret, then I can, take out, all these other things, and I don't need the soldiers. And then you would take up the soldiers anyways.
That's
and
right.
so I'm like, well, I can't go there now. So I'm going to keep getting my stone over here, I guess.
And our hope in the design, and I think is the case, is that all paths should be valid. As long as the path you're doing well,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he tried to, and it
It
just
just failed.
didn't work.
Yeah. Again, I make these plans, and they just
I'm pretty sure
go away.
I'm pretty sure I bought the most cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to go no food, you kind of got to lean into the mercenaries quite a bit.
Yeah. Dan just collected people. That's all you did. You just
He's a
I put
trafficker.
oh my god.
I put them in my menagerie.
I did not say the other word that usually goes with that. I just said
Human trafficking is
trafficker.
horrible. Oh my god! How did you know?
I'm smart.
SMRT?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I am smart.
SMRT. I mean SMART.
So Evan, it was easy to find a lot more about you than it was for Ryan.
That's because he's an
Probably
actor.
correct.
Yeah, it's because he's an actor. No. So I know, for example, that you have a couple games that you're working on, like one about Meteora and building Meteora.
The game's good.
Yeah, and so
In your completely
Ryan, are
biased
you?
opinion.
Yeah, are you part of the design process in any of, like, there are 3 games that I have found that Evan's listed as working on. Are you a part of the design process?
Like the way that Evan and I make a good team, beyond the fact that we can just move through our creative differences more quickly than a lot of people because we're good friends.
Yeah.
You being a dick.
Yeah, is that like we both
Oh my god, it sounds like us.
Beyond that, one of the differing things about Evan and I is like I have very like flash creative moments that'll sometimes have really good ideas. But I struggle with stick-to-itiveness on creative projects, whereas Evan is like, he also has good creative ideas, but he's like one of the most egregiously stick-to-itive people I've ever known in my life. It helps us stay on track for our cooperative projects, but he's so motivated for game design and this as his primary creative outlet, I would say. He just does a lot more of it than I do. He spends 4 nights a week scheduled game design and runs a playtesting video once a week live show on YouTube. Like he puts in the effort, and so he's bearing the fruit of that effort. You know, him and I are still working on our projects together, but like I'm frequently a playtester of his side projects, but the amount of time I commit to this is not enough to keep up with his interest in it. So that's why you see a lot more of him stuff coming out, because he's put the work in, you know?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Some would call it obsession.
That's good.
No, I would call that a fragrance by Dior.
Yes.
I hope I got that right. Was that the company that made
I think
That
that
could be,
sounded
I
right
don't
to me. Confidently delivered is most of the battle.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right. See, I do this crap all the time, and people look at me like, "What the fuck is
I
wrong?"
feel like
with
it was
you?"
Calvin Klein.
Maybe it was Calvin.
It was
Klein.
Calvin Klein.
Damn it! I can't make that joke because he's
Do you
not
wanna
printed
redo
on my
it?
underwear. No, I'm done.
Okay.
I have 1 take. That's all I get.
All right.
It's like stage.
It's just improv.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I should know. I taught that for 2 years.
Nice.
You just fake confidence, you know.
That's right.
And everyone will just believe it.
That's right. That's how I got into my
Story
first
of his
marriage.
life.
That's how I got into Los Angeles, into Warner Brothers, and then let go of everything.
And then here you are. You just ended up with me.
And here I am, back with the 2 people from high school.
Yep. That tormented you the most.
Yeah.
And we get to do it some more.
She really didn't torment me that much, though. That's the great thing.
It's because I was older than you.
Yeah.
So there's so let's see. There's
So-
Great Meteora, which
okay,
we talked
so-
about. Okay,
so-
So. Mine.
These people.
What?
These people. So there's Great Meteora. The other 2 games, one was unnamed. A tableau building and blind bidding simultaneous playing card game to support druids to control the fabled magic that has returned to the Wildwood.
Yeah.
And it has really good artwork from what I saw in it too. From
Beth Sobel.
Beth Sobel, yeah. So how do you have, like, how far along are you on that one?
That one has been in a relatively stable, ready-ish state for a while.
Okay.
Got signed by 25th Century Games. I think Beth's going to have time to start finishing up the art towards the tail end of this year, and then I assume you might hear the name coming out next year-ish at some point next year. Currently, it's titled Wildwood.
Okay.
I don't know if Chad's going to want to stick with that.
Stick, yeah.
Right. But that's the current title.
Okay.
All right.
And then the last one I found that you were working on is an adaptation of Endzone, A World Apart.
Yes.
Is that still happening or anything? Like, it's something I haven't heard anything about.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
That was a thing where, sometimes in the business world where there are multiple business entities involved and including IP licensing bodies and creative studios and things. People plan on doing things and then it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's what happened there.
I didn't even hear that they totally volunteered.
I spoke with I'll tell you about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite author, Tad Williams, he wrote a 4-book series called Otherland, and I went from someone who hated reading to I don't go anywhere without a book because of Otherland.
Yeah.
And it's a love letter to like all things literature. The characters go from like the Trojan War to War of the Worlds if the tripods had won, and then they go to like a twisted version of Wizard of Oz where Tin Man, Scarecrow, and Lion are fighting each other, searching for Dorothy and stuff like that. And so it's like, it's horrifying, it's brutal, it's also really funny and heartwarming and like all these really cool things. But he has been struggling to make it, well, not struggling, like people have been coming to him like making into either a movie or a TV show. Warner Brothers had the rights for a while, then Universal did, and every time he's like, I get a paycheck for it, and then it falls through, and then someone else buys the rights, and then that falls through again. And it's like now Amazon has the rights for it. They just got it a year ago or something like that.
They have the budget.
That was the case here. Was there was a contract for the design work. I did the design work.
Yeah.
It isn't coming out.
Yeah, it just didn't happen. Yeah.
Which is, like as a side gig, I don't care about the money so much because it's not enough to run a family.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, unless you make an evergreen kind of game like Munchkin or something.
A certain level of production and you have multiple titles selling well, it is doable, but for the most part, for me, it's just a passion and a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care about the money so much as like I want my creative projects to actually happen. So I actually it's nice that I got a little bit of money, but I really, really want to see the game come out, which won't happen. I'll be okay.
Design's portable. You could use that in something else.
I'll have to change it a lot.
Yeah.
I guess the Meteora one then. Is that one still in the works? Because like I really like the prototype picture that this article had listed.
Article?
Yeah, it's from the Willamette, I think it's called.
Oh, the Willamette.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, that's like our local. Don't look it up now.
Yeah, there's an article about you guys in there, and it's from a couple years ago. But
You're
they have
not
some
Googling very well.
They have some pictures of your prototypes and things like that. That's how I found all this information. Like here's I don't know if they'll come up.
Oh yeah, that's
a super early prototype.
So
yeah. No, that's with another buddy of mine who took, I think it was his honeymoon or something. They went to, so the Great Meteora are real monasteries built on these giant pillars.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
In Greece. And he went there and came back and was like, dude, we have to make a game about this. Here's my spreadsheet of 27 skills and all this and all this. and we started getting to work on it. And that game has been signed with Crafty. I think it's slated to come out in like 2026, 2027.
Every signed game is like 3 to 4 years out right now.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Slow for
so you never know when that one's going to come out, but that one I'm really, really enjoying. I mean, I love all the games I work on.
No, I like that one a lot.
Yeah,
it looks like even that early prototype. I'm like, this looks pretty intriguing. Like I just like the elevated pieces to it, and it's a worker placement game, which I always like. So I'm very interested.
It's a little heavier than After the Empire. After the Empire is what, like 3.2?
Okay.
3.17, something like that.
Yeah.
This one's probably more like a 3.3, 3.4 as far as like BGG difficulty weight.
Yeah.
And it's got a little more difference in what's going, like it's just a tiny bit heavier. You got skill tracks. It's a little more Euro. There's no wave of invaders. There's one bandit who runs around, but just in a controlled fashion. In a very controlled fashion.
Yeah.
But yeah, tableau building, engine building, tile placement. You've got one worker, there's one resource, and then there's like little caches of like little pods of worker placement areas that you have to like access.
Oh.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's freaking awesome.
All right, that sounds really cool.
All right.
Yeah.
I could get behind that.
Yeah.
It is interesting how Meteora inspires like creativity. Like Linkin Park went there and made a whole album because of, you know,
Yeah.
what they experienced. Yeah, their second album, that's why they named it Meteor, is because they visited the place and they're like, oh my god.
I knew that.
That's honestly, that's my favorite album from them.
Really? I still like the first one. I like Hybrid Theory. Yeah.
Hybrid Theory is good, but Meteor, I just like that.
This is
All
not
right,
what we're here
So
for.
this is what happens. We'll get on a topic and we'll
We run with it,
Run.
and then Angie gets annoyed.
Yes. Oh, it's even better when we talk about Star Wars.
Or
Oh my
Daredevil.
God.
We talk,
Oh, yeah.
we talk Daredevil a lot.
This city.
Oh my god, don't even.
Trask.
What's
his name?
Fisk.
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 Yeah.
You're close.
Wilson Fisk.
Nice try.
Sad.
You embarrassed me in front of Vanessa.
The best. So here's the thing about that. Vincent D'Onofrio is an amazing actor. The man's a chameleon. You can watch him
Yeah.
in something and then watch him in another thing. Like literally sit down and watch
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 movies with him, and you'll be like, "Oh shit, that's what?
Yeah.
That's the
But he was
guy.
just oh my god!" Like it took me almost
Yeah.
like 15 years to be like, "Holy shit, he was Edgar in Men
Men in Black.
Men in Black." Like what? What?
Wearing
Um,
some kind of Egger suit.
Yeah.
But when he does Wilson Fisk, like everybody can do the voice.
Yeah,
It's like everyone trying to do a Christopher Walken impression.
I don't know
Everyone's
what
got
you're
one.
talking about.
Oh my god! Tell me more about this Muad'Dib.
Say Muad'Dib.
Except he actually was in that movie.
Him saying
He was.
Muad'Dib is
Oh my
just
God, that
the
was hilarious.
funniest friggin' thing. I loved it.
We saw that in theaters together, and as soon as he came on, I was like, "Yeah!" And then he said that line, and we both went.
This is Muad'Dib.
Gotta know.
I'm so glad I didn't go along.
You missed such a fun night.
Well, you wouldn't have had your date, so.
That's true. It was a mandate.
Hey.
There was a mandate to go see Dune 2.
Yes,
Yeah, we
yes.
had to do it.
Yeah.
We wanted. How did we call it? The sex bucket.
What?
Dune
Oh,
popcorn.
oh, yeah, the popcorn bucket.
We kept calling it the sex bucket. Like, yeah,
The creepy bucket. I called it creepy
the
bucket.
creepy. No, we called it. No, it was the porn bucket.
Porn bucket. Yeah.
The porn bucket. And when we went up there, we're like, yeah, we want the porn bucket. The guy at the cash register was like, what? Like the large popcorn. And they're like, oh, we don't have that. I'm like, damn it! Why did I come here if I can't get a porn bucket?
Ribbed for corn treasure.
It wouldn't have been easy to get popcorn in and out of. Like,
No,
the
yeah.
things were really close. You probably would have just
Yeah.
pulled it off and.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
No, it's only ew if it's slimy. That's when you go, oh!
Yeah. Put the top on before adding the butter, please. Yeah. There you
Now I want to go to the movies.
Me too.
go. There you go.
We should go to the movies tomorrow, too.
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
That'd be fun.
Totally do that.
Yeah, we're doing a double date tomorrow, so it'll be fun. Anyways, so I want to get this list, Evan, of things that you're listed. Again, I think this is taken from that article. So, quote, Evan enjoys running a coffee shop, acting, singing in a metal band, swinging from a trapeze, dancing tango, providing specialized healthcare, and being a husband and father.
Yeah.
That is
Sounds-
quite a array of talents right there.
Yes, the husband and father thing, I'm blown away.
Well, that's a job in itself, right? The father part, man.
Again, I don't know. I never had
how
the
many?
chance.
Well, how many kids do you have? I have 3.
Me, just one. Just
Oh,
one.
okay.
And that-
Yeah, you're
that's
good. You're
all
not
you-
outnumbered then. Once they outnumber you, that's like it's bad. It's
I'm
but
pretty
Well,
sure
I-
by herself, she already outnumbers me and my wife.
Oh, that happens. Well, but here's the thing: you're not outnumbered when it comes to the boys. 'cause-
Yeah, male versus female.
yeah, the
You-
boys outnumber the girls.
That's right. You kind of have the manpower on that.
That's true.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Do your kids play games with you?
Yes. Well, my middle child, my oldest son, he does. He loves board games.
That's why you have kids.
Yeah, that's right.
We played Sea Salt and Paper, right?
Yes.
So my daughter, she's 4 and she plays Sea Salt and Paper.
That's
with me.
impressive.
It's ridiculous.
That's
I'm
cool.
like, she's gonna be such a nerd. I love it.
Both are parents are bad. It's fair.
Yeah, my youngest is 4, and he's just a menace. There's no way he'll play a board game. He sees after the Empire, he makes the castles, and then a monster truck comes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
No need for archers.
Play
or-
Rampage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He is
I'd go with
Godzilla.
Terror in Meeple Town.
Terror in Beeple
Terran
Town.
Evil City, yes,
Love
I
that
love that
game.
game. That's such a good one.
Adrian.
Hashtag not Rampage. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't say that anymore.
I'm still gonna say it. You can sue me. I have no money to take.
Actually, that leads me in. Well, I guess
Yeah,
you already answered
yeah,
it. I
yeah.
guess. Yeah, that kind of answers my question already. But one of my questions was, what was your gateway game? Because for me, in one night we played King of Tokyo, Dungeon Fighter, and Terra in Meeple City, and that opened my eyes to like what modern gaming was and everything. And that was in 2016. So you already said like you started with like Magic the Gathering, D&D. What board games do you remember like really started you down this path?
I would say my intro to modern board gaming, is probably who was in there? I don't
That's
know.
good,
It had
that's
to come
good.
out. He was challenged. It was probably like Carcassonne,
That's a good one.
and then like Race for the Galaxy and Lords of Waterdeep, and it kind of started, veering off in that direction pretty early, I think.
Yeah, mine would be like Agricola was a big for the opening as modern Euros. Carcassonne also was now looking back pretty early, but not
Yeah.
a first one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dominion, I got really into. Played a lot of Galaxy Trucker, which
Yeah.
I still wish more people would want to play with me.
That's
But
so good. It's got a steep like experience curve though.
yeah, but a lot of those definitely
Yeah,
are the early
yeah.
ones.
Very cool. So I want to go back because I realized I just kind of skipped over. So all of your talents, Evan, am I right to assume that you have done trapeze work?
Yeah, that was news to me. I don't know that. one.
Yeah, I took I think I did it for like a year and a half of trapeze classes. And the only reason I stopped is because the teacher was having some health issues and could no longer
Oh.
offer Saturday class.
Oh,
And that was my time because I'm very busy and that was my time. And so that was unfortunate, and I had to stop doing trapeze.
Oh.
But I really loved it. It was a lot of fun, and it never came to be that it was useful during the course of filming a movie. But
yeah.
And you've never
I have
joined a
no-
circus?
I never
Yeah.
joined a circus. I never saved an old lady's purse. I never got to use it.
That's a shame.
That's unfortunate.
Did you ever do the silk rope?
Yeah.
What's that?
Did you ever get to do the silk rope?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I love the silk rope.
That one burns more. but-
It does. So my first experience with that was my last year of college. We had some people come in and show us some stuff, so I was messing around with that. And then when I went out to Los Angeles, there was a workshop that had all that, trapeze and all this kind of stuff, and they had the silk ropes there. That was my favorite thing to do, and that was, I think I went something like once every 2 weeks. Is when I can make it to do that.
It's a blast. I mean, silk rope is more burny but less ouchy, and trapeze is more ouchy but less burny.
Yes. Yeah, I'd agree with that statement.
I've never done either, but I can visualize what you mean.
Yeah, me too.
That was pretty accurate.
Yeah,
From
essentially,
just
you're, bouncing around on this metal bar that's wrapped in very thin tape.
Mm.
Your body has bones and squish bits between the bar and your bone. Yeah, it's pretty ouchy.
yeah.
That's cool.
And Ryan, read again. You're a lot harder to find anything about, but I saw that you are like a nutritional expert.
Yeah. So, yes, that'd be one way.
That
But
is true.
I don't work as that currently.
Okay.
But while owning the game store, I did get my master's in nutrition and worked as a nutritionist for a couple of years.
Cool.
That's admirable. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a busy time. Very busy time. Yeah.
Did you see his sound design thing?
Yeah, so I'm a post-production audio engineer for a living. So I'm a sound designer, mixer, TV, film, radio, stuff like that.
Nice.
That's my day job.
Every once in a while, he shows up and he's like, "So I was working with X, Y, or Z famous actor today." Jeez.
Used to be a lot more than now.
Oh, yeah.
Now that post-COVID, everything's a lot more remote. But yeah, used to
Yeah.
have quite a few run-ins.
I used to do that to him all the time.
Yeah, he gave tour guides on Warner Brothers
I gave
Law
tour
and things
on
like
Warner
that.
Brothers. We were actually talking about it earlier today. When we were talking about the whole time difference thing, I just gotten off of a set. It was an overnight shoot, so I had been up for like 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I call him, and he's like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing calling me so early?"
It's 7 in the
It's 7
morning.
in the morning. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just got out of work. Talk to me now, please. I'm driving through Hollywood. Just talk. Just talk. He's like,
Evan was Brendan Fraser's body double.
That's true.
nice.
Yeah,
For which
I
one?
was just telling that story to one of our patients today.
yeah.
Because I've got this ginormous, ridiculous poster in my office that doesn't fit on the wall anywhere for the movie so I was Brendan's stand-in, and Harrison Ford was in the film, and oh gosh, what's her name? She was in the movie Waitress. Anyway,
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that Carrie Russell?
Not
Carrie
Carrie something or other. What's her
Yeah.
name?
It's Carrie Russell.
Carrie Russell.
Russell,
There
there
we
you
go.
go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carrie Russell. She's hilarious, by the way. Anyway, yes.
That's,
Huh.
that's his.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Oh, that's really cool.
You can watch that movie. You can see my ankle. You can see me driving. You can see me waiting in a hospital at a distance.
Whoa.
It's like you and Norjack.
Yeah. So I don't know when, but that should be coming up on Amazon sometime soon. The last project they did was called Norjack, which
Norjack?
yeah, it's based on the 1971 Norjack incident with DB Cooper. You know, the guy that hijacks the plane, holds it ransom for $200,000, jumps out of the plane, never seen again.
Oh, I've heard that story. He jumped like Alaska. Was that where he jumped out?
No, he was jumping.
It was northern, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was northern. It was coming down to New Mexico.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of exactly what happened with me in that
Yeah,
film.
couldn't shoot it out, was just gone. He like got away with it.
Wow.
Or
Yeah.
died.
Like his body was never found.
Yep.
Multiple people over the years on their deathbed have claimed to be DB Cooper and all this stuff.
Right.
And my buddy Walter, who wrote and directed it, he's always been obsessed with that case.
Yeah.
And when he told me about it, I was still living in LA. He told me about this, and I was like, "Dude, I would love to work on this." He goes, "Good, because you're DB Cooper." I'm like,
Nice.
"Okay."
Okay.
So
That's
we,
great.
I just started going through a divorce. I came back here to Pennsylvania, and that summer he's like, "So we're filming, in a few months. Can you be here?" I'm like, "Yep, I already got my ticket."
Nice.
And
And no obligations.
Yeah. I did, and I was working at the time, and I just told him like, "Yeah, I'm like skipping out for a week, so don't call me." But yeah, same thing with
That's
you.
awesome.
You can see me in the film, but it'd
Yeah.
be like, "Haha, here's my hand," or "What's that?" "My shoulder." Hey, a very close up on my face with my glasses on, and then
Nice.
like the only time you actually see my face is when the camera is panning back, and you're just seeing like the few passengers that are on the plane, and you don't even recognize that it's like, "Oh yeah, there's Dan." It's like I showed it to PJ. I was like, "PJ, can you see me in this?" He's like,
Yeah, in the trailer.
Yeah, in the trailer.
He's like, I'm in the trailer. And I'm watching. I'm like, where?
He's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "Dude, I was literally right in front of you." He's like, oh my God, that was you." Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, that was like in Twin Peaks.
Oh yeah.
So he's an extra in Twin Peaks: The Return.
Yeah.
And-
oh my God.
And so I pause it at the scene. He's like, I'm in a room, and it's like surrounded by glass windows, and they're like lawyers, and they're doing a conga line. So I see the scene. I pause. I'm like, where are you? Which one? Which one?
Oh, Twin Peaks.
That was fun. So I got to work directly with David Lynch on that.
That's awesome.
Oh my God, that guy is. So as you know, if you're a background, that's assistant director duty. Like you don't
Right.
talk to the director. David Lynch was all like, "Nah, I've got this." So he came up, "Hi, I'm Dave." I'm like, hi, I know who you are. Like, "I'm Dan." He's like, "Okay,
This
Dan."
is your set. Yes,
Yeah,
we get it.
"Okay, Dan, this is what you're doing. This is your job." He's going through everything. I was like, "Okay, all right, okay." So we're gonna get in your position. We're gonna set up. I'm like, okay, everybody, shut up. Everybody, shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. Okay, action. And
So he was also the AD.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, basically. But that's the thing. He had an AD there, and he was like, "Yeah, just go over there." And we did the scene, and I reacted, and he's like, "Okay, cut. That was great, but that's not what I wanted." I was like, "I'm so sorry. Nah, this is how I want you to act." I'm like, "Oh, okay, so do it again. Okay, everybody, shut the hell up. Action." And we go again, and I give him the reaction he wants. He's like, "Okay, cut. That was great, Dan. That was awesome. Okay, you're gonna go in that fishbowl over there. You're giving a meeting. Go." It's like, okay.
Cool. It's great.
I love his role in that show. What? You're gonna have to speak up.
Now I'm gonna have to look at it,
We'll
find
find it,
it,
we'll
and
find it.
watch it.
Yeah, I show up every now and then in a bunch of
We'll
random
sleuth your
things.
IMDb.
Heck yeah.
Do it. I looked at
Yeah.
my IMDb like a few months ago and went, "What? When the hell
You
did
can
I
sleuth
do
mine
that?"
back.
I should.
It's pretty extensive at this
Yeah.
point, but for a bunch of random
Mine
audio
is
shit.
not very extensive.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of like independent shit that I went, "When did I do that?"
Oh, me too. That's how it goes. Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole time.
And one of
That's
them,
the phase I'm in. I'm still doing that.
I'm not. I'm doing a podcast now.
That's
You
right.
got that.
You do both.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's nothing here, at least in our section of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we'd have to drive up to New York. Like
Yeah.
I have a couple students who do that on the weekends. They'll just like
Yeah.
drive up to New York and do some extra work and then come back.
Nice.
So
Fun.
yeah,
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I do need to get back into acting.
yeah.
Yeah. Did you give me a do it? Do it.
Just do it.
Do it. He said I have to do it. Now I have to do it.
Okay.
Life changes made possible by Evan Halbert. You're welcome.
Yeah. So my last question for you guys really is just what games you playing right now? What are you having fun with?
I mean, in person, it's almost all prototypes, whether it's mine or other people's. It's basically prototype all day long. I did get to play some published stuff when I go to conventions. Like I just went to a convention in Buffalo, New York, and I got to play a bunch of cool games there with a bunch of awesome folks. And I would say conventions where I really play anything, and then it's almost always just totally random smattering of different stuff.
Yeah.
Like I could pull up the list, but it's just all kinds of crazy random stuff. Every once in a while, Ryan will bring like,
That one right now?
yeah, he
Yeah.
probably brought something that we won't play.
Yeah.
'Cause we're gonna be looking at it.
Yeah.
But mostly it's all online, like BGA or Yukata.de
Mhm.
or mostly it's online for published games for me, and in person is all design work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to play a lot more new games than Evan. I've slowed down a lot. As far as like, I'm just a sucker for Cult of the New stuff, mostly just because I'm curious and I want new gaming experiences. I just want to see what's there. But I've bought a lot less lately, so I've been trying less lately. But he got me in this Sea Salt and Paper, which
Yeah.
I played a lot with my partner lately.
It's very playable.
Yeah, I just a lot of like games that came out this last year, like Darwin's Journey. I was into after we played it for a bit. I play a ton of also just prototypes.
Was that Simone Luciani?
Oh, I don't.
Might have been. I love that dude.
Might have been.
He was Grand Austria Hotel too.
Yep, we love
Yeah,
Grand Austria Hotel. We're big fans of that game, which is not a new game at all.
No,
Oh,
if you haven't
everyone
tried it,
always talks about that one. Like that one's such a well-known game.
It doesn't look like it'd be that good. It's like all the way boring Euro looking, but it plays exceptionally well. A
That's
lot of good players do.
Yeah,
That's how I
Like,
felt
there's a lot
about
of
Dominant
things that are-
Species. Like
Dominant Species was one of our all-time favorites. I really love Dominant
Yeah.
Species.
when that was pulled out, we did a fundraiser event a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And this group that we met, this couple, we met them last year at the same fundraiser event. They were telling us about it, so this year they brought it and they open it up and I see this beige board. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is a
Whoa.
Euro
It's a
game.
straight-
It's a heavy game.
it's
Yeah.
really good.
You can screw yourself in that game.
Oh,
but
yeah.
You have to pay attention a
Yeah,
lot
Yeah.
Don't
for
mess up.
5 hours. Yeah.
Don't mess up.
Yeah, but I mean, we both still reasonably active play Magic. I play a little more Magic than Evan does.
Yeah, I mostly just do two-headed giant on release day
Yep, do a lot of that.
or pre-release.
Yeah,
How do you feel about all the crazy, ridiculous crossovers Magic's doing, like Lord of the Rings.
Oh, the
and-
Universes Beyond stuff?
Yeah.
At first, I was extremely upset about it. Not like I'm going to go in some forums and blow up, but just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I was
yeah.
annoyed. I've never cared that much about lore. People can really care about lore. I'm like, I just want it to feel like you're playing in a cohesive universe,
Yeah.
which it
Yeah.
no longer does.
Yeah.
But I've
Yeah.
become weathered and attuned to it, and it's mostly fine. I think it really like sometimes it feels over the line. Like when they put Transformers in, they put Walking Dead in. And Walking Dead, at least there was zombies already in that universe. When they
Yeah.
add stuff that like could not exist in the classical Magic the Gathering universes, that's
Right.
when I get more like, ugh,
Mhm.
that's kind of lame.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, like Fallout's
Yeah.
coming.
Really?
what's going?
Fallout is coming.
Fallout already came. Fallout.
Oh, it's already out? Okay.
3 months ago.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, even Fallout. Yeah, Fallout. Like as more come out, the more you just get kind of like, I guess whatever.
Yeah.
Like for me, as long as the game is still good and alive,
Yeah.
people are playing it and fun. Like I don't care that much as long as they kind of at the core stay Magic the Gathering universe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's too late feeling now. Like even if you stop doing universes right now, there's still Godzilla cards floating around. Like
Right,
stop
right.
it.
They jumped the shark. But...
No,
No.
not yet. That card will probably come out eventually though. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I personally wish that the people running or owning Magic the Gathering were more focused on the health and longevity of the game than about seemingly extracting maximum dollars in the short term. I could be wrong because it hasn't crashed and failed yet, but it sure did feel that way. As a game store owner for a while, like we both felt that at slightly different timelines for that.
Yeah.
And as a longtime player, it just feels like I'm not as worried that they're doing Universes Beyond as I am that they just feels like they're going to burn out the player base by over releasing.
Yeah.
They're slowing a little.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? We'll see
Yeah,
what
we'll see.
happens. But definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I concur, Doctor.
Separate gripe. Yeah.
Well, that's something. Owning a game store too. So starting up a game store, all that. How, what led you to pursue that idea? Because I've always played around with the idea of it and everything. Stop being a teacher and be a game store owner and things like that. But
Do it.
Well, I told Ryan, don't do it.
You were the one who told me to do it. Well, in the end, you told me to do it.
I'll tell you what I told Ryan. Go for it.
Yeah. So you just gave me a clear view of it, but in the end, you said if it feels like something you want to do, just go for it.
yeah.
I mean, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Evan predated me by about 3 or 4 years on his game store, but he was already divested from. So both our game stores still exist, and neither one of us still own them. So we built successful businesses and then exited.
Yeah.
But for me,
Hey, there it is.
Nice.
Hey,
I love it.
There is. Oh my god! Yeah, I'm literally wearing my game store's T-shirt too. There it is.
Yes.
That's hilarious. We're such losers. Still wearing my old merch. Yeah, me too.
That's fantastic.
But,
Where's the most comfortable stuff you own?
That's
honestly,
yeah.
the Portland Game Store T-shirt that I'm wearing, we have made like bamboo fiber, and like they all still the screen prints are all still holding up. People are still wearing them. Like we just paid more to make good shirts, and honestly, for a business that pays dividends, in my opinion, because people will wear them if it's comfortable and not crappy.
Yeah.
Back to the question. So it's just like let us to start that, or more like how it went, or all of the above.
Yeah, like the inspiration behind it and how.
So mine was I exited the audio industry at the same time I started my game store. It was like I was most of working in post-production audio is you're doing a lot of commercial work, which is great and it's like short burst of creativity, but like I remember it was late a Friday night. I was feeling really burnt out on just doing a ton of like non-inspired commercials at that moment in time. And it was like I had a date plan that Friday night and I had to cancel because the client was just assuming, of course, I could stay late. And I was just like, I'm really getting fed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my good friend Hans, the one who got me kind of into the modern board gaming scene, called me and said, don't say no, but if you say no, no one gets to do it. You want to own a game store with me? But he was like, "You're the linchpin, but don't you
No
say
pressure, but you have to say yes.
no pressure, but you have to say yes." Situation. And it was like a cool out. I had not like it always sounded cool, but I had not been actively pursuing that as a dream at all.
Mhm.
I was just wondering what the next thing would be, and that felt like a why not opportunity. And they offered, in my case, I got offered a really cool deal, which was I put no money in, but I have to run the thing for at least 2 years to get my share of it owned.
Okay.
So I put in the sweat equity is how
Yeah.
that was set
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
And so that was, I mean, it was really cool not having, not having to pay the funds up front. Obviously, made that a lot more possible dream for me. And luckily, Hans already had like an accounting master's degree and stuff like that. So he had been doing business research I didn't even know about for years in the Portland scene to find the exact area that didn't have a game store within a
Right.
certain distance.
It was
And,
a
like,
good location.
yeah, we picked a spot that was far enough away.
Yeah, you don't want to cannibalize others in the area.
No.
and
Well,
things
and
like
people
that.
tried to cannibalize us and it didn't work out for them either. Because like
Yeah.
once you get that establishment, like it's like you get loyal
They're
customers.
like, oh look,
Yeah.
there's so many nerds here. We'll wait. Why do you think there are a bunch of nerds there?
yeah.
Because of the game store.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
It's a safe
for
space.
me, that it was a really cool thing. I owned it for 5 years and divested right as the pandemic started because we could just tell we felt like, especially my business partners, didn't want to run that type of business during what they saw coming and the pandemic. This was really, really early pandemic because
Yeah.
half of it was a play space, and we're like, that's just going to stop.
Yeah.
I don't even want to run just selling
Yeah.
product.
Mhm.
I completely loved the whole thing. So, but somebody bought it from us and it's still there.
Yeah.
Evan has a different story for his, I'm sure, but
Oh yeah, I was. Did you list Argentinian tango on the skills
Tango,
list?
yes, I saw Tango in there. Mhm.
So my buddy Matthew and I met dancing tango, and we quickly realized that we were both nerds, and we would convene after dances at like 1 or 2 in the morning at his house to either play Magic the Gathering or Dr. Mario competition
Excellent.
on the old Nintendo.
Yeah.
I think we were like still 50-50. Like he's pretty good at Dr. Mario.
oh,
I thought I was really good. He's really good.
Never
Anyway, oh, it was a good time. And one night, I was joking around and I was like, hey, or maybe he said, I don't know, who knows. Let's say I did. I was joking around. We should open a game store. We're both nerds. We should do that. We're both, people that can do things. Let's do things, people. And we did. And like, I don't know, I think maybe 4 months later we opened.
Yeah.
It was a pretty, as far as like business opening goes, a pretty ridiculous, like shot in the dark, tight timeline with no budget.
Yeah, you guys are super low budget to start.
I think our initial stock of order from Alliance distributors was $14,000 on my credit card.
That sounds right. Yeah, you told me it was on
Yeah.
the credit card. Yeah.
Wow.
That's how we started the store.
Yeah.
And then yeah, over time it just grew and grew and grew. Eventually we got big enough where
Standard move locations.
we had to move locations, and then some of the original customers who loved supporting a failing business told us that we sold out because we finally were operating in the black instead of in the red.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, okay. Right.
You sold out. You're being completely financially stable. That's selling out.
And then we would have competition like, pop up shop like 4 blocks away and be like basically loss leadering product.
Magic in particular.
And you're like, that doesn't work unless you're massive, right?
Yeah.
And so they would come and then they would go out of business.
Mhm.
And then they would come and then they go out of business just over and over and over again. And the customers would like sheepish, they would like come to us and be like, you're trying to gouge us. I'm like, no, we're trying to stay in business.
Yeah.
And then they would sheepishly come back every single time. That other place went out of business because they were too bad at business. It was really funny.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if you do want to open one, I would say make sure you have enough money up front. We had more money than Evan
Yeah.
business did, and we were able to open a very nice feeling store.
Yeah.
Even though, like looking back, it was still super bare bones. Like we had less shelves to make it look like we had filled those shelves. Yeah, having a good nest egg up front. And it's if you don't like, you can rely really heavily on Magic right now, and it can be really good, but also really bad because Magic is just if Hasbro drives it into the ground, you could lose your whole business.
Right.
So like we were really diversified, and honestly, board games is a really good consistent margin. Mostly, Magic is a variable, sometimes bad margin.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah.
but that's where the most stuff is. So,
Right.
dude, if you want to do it, I would say just make sure, like any other good business decision, like you plan ahead of time financially and location. And
Yeah. Yeah. Do your research on the location as far as like where's the.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Like
I'd
I'd say if you want to do it.
you need for income for your family, because starting a business is brutal financially.
Oh yeah.
be honest with yourself. Do I need to, do this other thing that actually makes me a decent amount of money, and then just do this on the side and hire a high schooler to do it, for minimum wage also.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Do it soon while minimum wage is still like low.
You have to make sure that it pencils out,
Yeah.
because you have a family.
And my
Yeah.
business partners kept their jobs, and
Right.
I took a pay cut to work there,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I was earning like investment in business. So,
Yeah, high schooler.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I could ever like realistically live out that idea, but it's always fun for me to like, do the thought experiment and go through the hypotheticals and everything.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is very doable, right? We both
Oh yeah,
did
for
it.
sure.
It is very doable, but it's definitely one of those like go in with your eyes open
Yeah.
Yeah.
and make a plan and stick to the plan.
And we also have a leg up. We're in Portland, Oregon, and like Portland is just a mecca for gaming. So
Mhm.
like, I feel like if you're in a smaller town city in the rest of America and you open like like a strip mall game store, probably the most common type of game store you're going to find in America.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You either need to have enough people in the area that have absolutely nothing, and if you have any competition, you might just not have enough nerds. Like you can
Right.
build
Mhm.
that community somewhat, but yeah, it helps to be somewhere where there's already such a ripe scene for it.
Not enough nerds. Not enough nerds in the area.
Yes.
I said to Dan that like months ago. I never said anything to you about it. Like, even if you could like make a spreadsheet of all the games you own and just start a business where like people would hire you, they pick
Yeah.
so many games and you go, you teach like they just have a party, you teach them how to play it.
Yeah.
You let them.
Oh,
you
that'd be
let
so
them,
cool.
Like do whatever they want. Like
I
if
could
you
do
could
that.
find enough people somewhere to make that successful.
Like 4 or 5 years ago, the Portland Game Library opened up, which actually is one of the old regulars from my game store, Nathan. But I haven't actually engaged with their business, but it's still there. And like,
Yeah.
so you could have that model of we just rent games out,
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even like we come teach you and
Yep, totally.
Right.
Yeah.
like if there's
You could
something you've been
do-
thinking you want to try, like if we
Yeah.
have it,
If you
we'll
have a big enough collection, you can have, depending on the size of your collection, you could go to like regional or smaller conventions and be like, hey, I'll bring your game library, for this XYZ cost.
Yeah.
I'll put
Right.
you and run your game library.
Yeah, I do know right now if we do even try to go with that venture, there's one game we will not teach.
Aliens?
Aliens, Colonial Marines.
It's a running joke
It's the
on our
running-
podcast. It's the only negative review we've given.
It's the only game that we've both hands down said no.
What's the game?
Aliens.
Aliens. It's
No,
what is
Another
it?
glorious day in the
Yeah,
core.
yeah.
I didn't play this game. I watched them play it, and it was painful.
So
no.
so the ones. It's one thing to like.
Well, can I start by saying you open the box and the minis have to be assembled, which is fine, like some minis are, but
Yeah.
nowhere does the box say like glue required and or assembly
You can have a
required.
spring-loaded face hugger that just when you open it.
Yeah. And so the minis are out, and it's like 16 xenomorphs that you have to put together. But
Like
like
Warhammer level of assembly or what?
apparently because I like went on Reddit and I bitched about this, and Warhammer people came out and they're like, these minis suck to put together.
Oh,
Like
no.
they're like,
Exactly.
I've put minis together and these are a pain. And
We're talking Malachor players. They got it real hard. Yeah, like every barrel in a minigun is a separate piece.
oh yeah, so like the xenomorphs, like the torso is like 3 pieces that connects to the pelvis, and so you have to like assemble that, and then the arms have to glue in, and the tail glues into the back, and
That sounds
everything.
like straight up 40K stuff, which is its own whole hobby. You
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
expect
Oh,
it.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so I'm just like, like I've never assembled minis. I've heard of people doing it and everything. And so I'm there and everyone's like, oh yeah, you should get some super glue and maybe like some helping hands to hold them together. I'm like, I'm not going to buy any of that crap for this. So immediately right out of the gate, like I'm pissed at this game. And then we get to the rule book.
Okay, so it's one thing to like read it and go, "Oh, I don't quite understand that." Okay, we'll play with it, and then maybe you
Like
don't.
some rule books don't make sense
Yeah.
until you actually start going through it, and then like you see how it flows.
Right, or like, oh, like we did, you know what? Let's go to a let's play. That'll show us what we're doing wrong. And we went to the let's play, and even the let's play guys are like, Yeah, so we have no idea what to do here. So these are the rules we brought up. We're like, what
Wow.
the fuck? What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, like there's one where like the range is set in stone if you're firing, but if you're defending someone else, then the range is unlimited. I don't know. It's been a while since we
Yeah.
played, but
It sounds
like
to me kind of like you're just playing literally a tacticals miniature. I actually
It
didn't
is
bring
very-
this up,
yeah.
I played a ton of 40K as a kid. Like that was a huge thing for me. But like, yeah, that's like tabletop minis games are their own genre of tabletop
Yeah.
gaming. And like, if you are surprised that in a board game, that would be totally not what you're expecting.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's its own effort of hobbying.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to assemble, I want to paint, I want to use tape measures, like I want to have a complex rule set. But
Yeah.
like,
The closest to like a war game mini game that I've played is Star Wars Imperial Assault, which has like a lot of
fucking
the
awesome.
yeah, a lot of
But those
skirmish
still
style
assemble,
battles.
right?
Yeah, those are just minis.
Yeah,
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
they're you don't have to assemble them or anything. But you know, it's the very skirmish based tactical.
Yeah.
But the rulebook is so good and it's so easy to follow. And
Well,
the
no,
line of
it's
sight
easy
is
to
easy to
do,
figure
yeah,
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for the Aliens game, really what it came down to is if you cannot make this comprehensive to the point where you look at it and go, "Oh, okay, since I've done this dip makes more sense." Like none of that is there. It's like you read it and it's like, "Oh, but if you do X, then Y comes into effect. But don't forget about Z." You're like, what about Z? What the fuck's Z? Oh, but then you have to do this and then ABC. Like,
I'm still picking X.
like what the fuck?
Trying to think about why that could happen. The likely path I could think of is they got an IP. They
Yeah.
felt they had to be secretive because it's a big IP.
Yeah.
So they did not publicly playtest it nearly enough.
Oh,
Yeah.
most
probably-
likely.
And just the window for development was probably too
Probably
tight
rushed,
because
yeah.
of the IP
Right.
deal. That,
Well, here's
Yes.
here's the thing that we found out later was after we did the game, we put out so far our only bad, like unanimously bad review, and then we go back and we're like, well, what did other people say about this? Like, this game is awesome. We love this game. We're like, what?
oh, really?
Wait, what's
Yeah,
so?
it-
What's
it's-
what's what?
It's a pretty mixed bag. Like some people, like Secret Cabal gaming podcast, they love it. They talk about it a lot, like positively. So yeah, it's a mixed bag. I guess you know, like if
Well-
you're willing to forgive some of it and house rule some of it and things like that. But
Right, but if you
even
have
for
to
us, like
have-
it was a lot of house rules.
if
for
you
us.
have to house rules it, you need to go back to the drawing board.
I agree.
Like that's just the and my buddy JB, who he occasionally gets comes by and does these games with us. He's like, "Oh, I really want to play this game." Like, dude, no, you don't. No,
I mean,
you don't.
sometimes you get a rule wrong and it just like ruins the whole game. Like, so
Yeah.
I try to keep that in mind when I think
Yeah.
a game sucks. You know, I'm like,
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
but maybe I did something or missed something.
yeah.
yeah.
You know,
First time I
Right.
played Magic 4, I got one of the rules wrong, and I made it such a terrible, terrible experience. It was like the order of operations of things resolving. Them.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
know what rule you're talking about. Yeah,
It was about the red cards.
The red
taking-
cards.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
timing was like it's supposed to happen before you get your resources, and we had you get your resources and then have it
Yeah.
take them, and it was
Yeah.
just like, well, I'll never have resources again. This is terrible.
oh, that's like in the Empire.
Yeah.
There's like obviously some people just don't like the game, but some of the people who don't like the game, it's because they missed one important little piece of information that's hard to find in the rule book. And that piece of information is if a cube falls off your castle, it goes to your stockpile instead of back to the box.
Mhm, yeah.
yeah.
You put it back to the box, the game is a real drudge fest, or can be for most
Yeah,
players.
like if you don't save the cubes that fall off your castle, it's like just super punishing and
Your whole game is just going to the wood spot, getting the wood, or
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to the
yeah.
button. Like
Yeah.
you're not making forward progress.
That was one I made sure when I taught it to emphasize, like, you don't lose this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
super important.
Yeah. So let's go back to After the Empire because I did think of something. Even though I said my last question like 5 questions ago.
That's right.
So the farms and raising the farms, and all that. Was that always part of it, and how did like that idea come into play? Because it's genius.
Yeah.
I obviously can't mentally figure it out, but I think it's great.
Well, we set out to make a medieval siege game.
hmm
classically, and we both agreed on this right out the gate, like you have to have the burn the farms, otherwise sacking and sieging, well, sieging then leading to a sack doesn't work.
Yeah, and I love that they're outside the castle walls too. Like,
that's how they would
burn
be, because
peasants.
Yeah, there were very few I don't think there's any real medieval cities that had walls that encompassed the farmland.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
Right.
too
Be
big,
unrealistic.
You know?
Yeah, because that's all your serfdom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like that. That just, I mean, not every siege is going to work that way. Probably sometimes they kept the farms intact to use them for themselves while sieging, but like
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but generally that's like a hallmark of sieging. So like, we want to get all those classic
Right.
hallmarks of sieging. And Evan was a history major, so like he would like really keep me nitty gritty on this stuff too.
Nice.
There,
I-
in my head, there is a year and a place that after the Empire takes place,
Ooh.
but we made it nondescript.
Yes.
Well, no, I have to know because I love history. I'm a huge history nerd, so I please enlighten me.
So,
You lead. It's your idea.
so
Yeah.
1282 is the year.
Yes.
Okay.
1282, and so there we do squidge the lines a little bit based on like the trebuchet was first introduced in 1170, yada yada, whatever. Like I don't remember if that's right, but like we chose a date, or I chose a date because I'm a nerd. Like everything has to at least be feasible and reasonable in this time, and 1282. That's the year that this takes place.
See, now I love this game even more.
And each little soldier, if you want to go for fidelity, is actually a company of 20
Okay.
individual soldiers, and each gold is actually a silver.
All right.
Mm.
And so if you
Okay.
make those mental swaps, it actually is has more fidelity with medieval Europe than it probably ought to. Although
Yeah.
there are some obvious notable things.
Trapped walls and stuff.
Trapped walls. There's some notable things where you're like, that didn't exist, but that's
Right. Right. Well, that reminds me of a game that we played last summer. What was that World War II game? 1940.
Memoir 44.
Memoir 44.
I've still never played it. I've heard it's
Dude,
really
Oh,
good.
it is.
Albie was like, dude, we need to play this game.
I want to play it.
Yeah, it's so straightforward, but also awesome. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
So, I love history. I absolutely love learning about history. When Battlefield 1 came out, I was like, yeah, this
Played
game
that.
looks awesome.
Played a lot of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like this game looks so awesome. This is so great. This is so great. And then I stopped and went, holy shit, I don't know anything about World War One. So before the
Yeah.
game even came out, like I was immediately hitting history books and like learning everything I could about the war.
Yeah, I binged Dan Carlin's Hardcore History.
Yeah, he showed me that. Like I loved that particular series so much that when it went off of his site, but you could still purchase it, I went and purchased the entire thing.
Yeah.
So like I have how many hours? It's like something like 30 hours.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with Dan Carlin.
I know the name. Yeah.
So
I know George.
I wish.
So that would be a fun podcast.
Oh my god!
If he did history.
George
Uh,
Carlin doing history would have been hilarious.
Dan Carlin, Hardcore
Get
History is the
that
podcast. So he does like extreme deep dives into it. His World War One series, I think it's 6 episodes long.
It's 6 episodes long.
And-
Each episode is like 4 to 5 hours long.
Yeah, and it's called Blueprints for Armageddon. But
Yeah.
it takes him 2 hours of building up the context around the war before Germany ever invades. Like,
Yeah.
it's yeah, and then when they do invade, he has like firsthand accounts of people in towns watching the army go through, and they said it was real fun at first watching this river of gray walking through, and it was like a parade. When the men stopped singing, the band would pick it up, and when the band stopped playing, the men would start singing. But then they're like, after 24 hours of being unable to cross the street, it started to get old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And like, it's really incredible, like the things he finds and how deep he goes into it.
Like the story that sticks with me still about that was the story he told about
Passchendaele?
No.
That's the one that got me.
Eric Ludendorff when they're there at
This is riveting.
Shut the hell up. when they're going in,
It's the place, you know. It's
Yeah,
the,
Yeah, yeah.
that-
The guys, they
that
did the thing, and
you asshole, shut it. No, fuck, I can't remember the name. Belgium. When they
Really?
tried to go through Belgium, shut up.
All that for
Yes.
Belgium.
Shut up. When they wanted to go through Belgium so they could just go straight to France, and they kept saying no.
oh yeah,
And he told this story about how
the 3 bunkers.
the 3 bunkers, like he went into great detail of how the bunkers were constructed, how everything was connected with concrete.
Yeah, there was a defensive line that actually was going to work.
Yeah, yeah, and how Ludendorff went on the battlefield himself, and he was like, "What the hell?" He found a group of men who was like, "Where's your leader?" They're like, "He's dead." He's like, "Well, not anymore. Let's go." And he took these men with him with nothing but his service pistol, made it all the way to the Citadel doors, rapped on the Citadel doors. They opened it up, and they're like, "We surrender."
Wow.
And of course, his story is much, much longer than that.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was able to find that account and then find other things that, okay, maybe that was written in his memoirs that he embellished. Like he found other bits of historical information that backed not only that up, but other things that coincided with that. So everything was all there that you could build this huge tapestry just of this is how it started and this is where it ends.
Yeah.
And like that stuff was amazing. But now that I made a huge tangent, let's get back to it. Memoirs 44 has that same feel to it. Like it really has that same feel to it. We
Yeah.
played that. We played a few games of it before we even did our review on that for the podcast. And I
So-
kept telling him, this is something we need. Like this is something that you could take into your classroom and teach. Like have them play and be like, all right, so this is an actual battle.
Have
This
you ever
is
played
what-
the Grizzled?
No, I haven't.
I want to. Yeah.
Grizzled is possibly my favorite cooperative game ever. It is also the hardest cooperative game I've ever played. You will lose probably 9 out of 10 times, but it's fast and you'll know what's happening and you can bail if you just want to reset.
Well, see, that's how every cooperative game is with us. We lose.
Well, one of the
more
things
often
about
than not.
Grizzled does really well with cooperative that I like is that I would never design a cooperative game where there wasn't a huge chunk of the information that you're not allowed to reveal to each other,
Right.
because
Ooh.
otherwise quarterbacking is potential.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So Grizzled is all about World War I soldiers. I think it's a French design game,
Okay.
so I think it's the French World War I
So it's
soldiers.
Grizzly.
Yeah, but it's, one of it is about fighting. It's all about surviving the emotional damage of the war and like not losing like platoon morale.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh.
So it's just like people have like emotional scars hit them and stuff like that. And like a thing that adds weight but isn't part of the design is that remember the Charlie Hebdo shootings?
Yeah.
Mhm.
One of the artists who died was the artist for the game.
Oh.
Also,
Wow.
Wow.
so like there's like a lot of like it's doesn't feel like it's not a heavy design, but there's like some like depth of emotion behind the game,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a really very good cooperative game. It's a small box. It's like easy to bust out. When we first got in the game store, I played with my partner like a ton. Works
Because
really
it's
well.
essentially a card game, right? Like it's all
It is
card based.
Yeah, it has a couple chit bits, but it's almost entirely hands
Okay.
of card.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's really well designed, and just like if you're looking for like a cooperative war game, but it's not about fighting; it's about like emotionally surviving the fighting. Really
Yeah.
cool design.
I like this idea. We're gonna have to find this.
Yeah.
The Grizzled,
That one in This War of Mine. I really want to play This War of Mine.
I think that's
So they turned that into a board game.
They turned it into a board game. Yeah.
Holy crap, that's awesome.
I heard good things.
I've heard good things too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
The video game's intense.
Oh, very.
So-
very intense. I cheat and I still lose in that game.
You're on God mode in This War of Mine.
Oh, I've got what was that Wiimote or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I've got myself this. I got all this. I got
Oh,
all this.
Wiimote,
And
I
I
forgot about
I
that.
still get my ass kicked. I'm like, I just suck at these things.
You're like PJ in board games.
That's right. I'm like PJ with board games.
That's right. I don't know why I buy so many of them.
I mean, we enjoyed them.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just never win them. Yeah, one of our other podcasts it's called the Well House Exorcism, and
Right.
because we had an exorcism in our house, and we have a well in the floor over here, and so it's like the first 4 episodes of that one is just us telling our stories about the house, and then we go and talk about other mostly Pennsylvania haunted places too, and have a really good time with that.
Yeah. So see,
Yeah.
you guys were like telling like the really ridiculously like horrifying stuff, and I just remember the stupid stuff that annoyed the crap out of us growing up in the house.
Yeah. Well, like, it's one thing where, like, most of the scary stuff is you just hear, like, in the middle of the night, you just hear, you know, like, from somewhere downstairs. And it's like, uh-huh. Yep, I hear you.
Oh yeah, that stuff I remember hearing.
I
all the
hear
time
you,
and being
yeah.
like, yeah, I'm not gonna go. down there.
So I grew up in upstate New York, and there's apparently there's a law in the books in New York State that if you like think your house is haunted, I don't know where the line is.
You have to disclose
declare
it.
that in your selling of
Yeah.
the house.
Yes.
I did an episode
I
on
have
that
a friend-
house.
I had my sister used to have a boyfriend whose mother was a practicing witch, and so she would just get cheap houses that were haunted and like be nice to the ghosts and like get to know them and shit. Like she just had like these, like he like said like growing up, there'd be like, you know, people walking behind the couch, like they hear the footsteps like right behind him, and it was just normalized because his mom was like cool with it all, so it didn't make it scary.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, you know, like you obviously none of them were like terrifying ghosts. They were
Right.
just like old spirits.
Right. It's just Esther.
Yeah, but it's exactly.
Yeah, we legit had to have an exorcism done because like there was one night leading up to the exorcism, the entire week leading up to it, it knew something was happening.
Wow.
And every single night, both of our children, we only had 2 at the time, but both of our kids woke up at the same time in separate rooms screaming.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
time to get that out of there.
yeah. We have
Yeah.
some videos of like our room it was a Halloween party and we were all playing Cards Against Humanity, and we hear this like boom in the house, and we like, it's like a typical horror movie, we all split up to search the house of where the noise came from. And we found that our room was decimated. Like the picture frames were trashed and glass was everywhere.
Whoa.
And
Nope.
we had
No, thank you.
an angel statue where in one hand she was holding a stone, and that survived, but in the other hand a nail was driven into its palm and brown smears were like down its face.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Now I gotta listen to that podcast.
I've got standing on end. You can't
Yeah.
tell because there's not much there.
Yeah.
It is not my bailiwick.
One of these days I'm going to post that video because I have the video.
So see, these are the things that happened after I left for Los Angeles. When we were growing up,
it was a little nuisance thing.
it was nuisance things. Like we would be playing video games downstairs in what's now the living room, and we would hear like things moving in the kitchen. It'd be like, "Mom's asleep," and we'd go over, and the sugar dish is like now on the opposite end, and there's sugar making a trail, and be like, "Get clean it up. Let's clean it up."
Yeah.
One of my favorite ones was
the basement door.
so the basement door had like just a little bar latch, you know, just one of those like old school just bar.
Yeah.
And his front door was this thick hardwood door. I mean, this thing was heavy as hell.
Yep.
And it had a crappy screen door, which you thankfully eventually replaced.
Mm-hmm.
And we were watching a movie. I don't remember what it was, but we were sitting down. It was a Friday night. It was one of those like, let's go to let's rent a movie, get like chips, and just watch movies till we fall asleep type of things. And we're watching this movie. We weren't even a quarter of the way through it, I think. And we hear the basement door open. We're like, huh? What? Oh, well, you know what? It must have been one of the cats. One of the cats must have been downstairs and, you know, opened the door because it wasn't latched. All right, so we walk over, we latch the door. Okay, press play. We're watching the movie, and then we hear the front door open. We go, huh? Walk over. Oh, okay. Maybe it's pressure. Yeah, it's got to be like variations in pressure. All right. So we go, we close the door, make sure it's closed tight. Sit back down, hit play. Basement door opens again. What the fuck?
Nope.
So walk over, close it, and press play. Front door opens again. So I said, all right. I looked at PJ. I said, I got an idea. You get the basement door. I'll get the front door. We're going to lock them both. And then, you know, we're going to sit back and watch the movie. Okay. So that's what we did. We closed the doors, locked the doors, deadbolts, everything we could think of. Sit back down, press play. Not even 10 seconds into pressing play, we hear click, 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 click. Both doors swing wide open. We're like, you know, fuck it. We're done.
We're going to
We're
bed.
done. We're going to bed. So we
So,
close.
did the exorcism work? You're honestly chilling.
We haven't had any activity since September 2018.
Wow.
So,
Okay. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
there's proof, I guess.
Well, there was the After the Empire episode actually. We
We
caught
haunt each of the games.
there was a
Yeah.
voice.
Oh
there,
yes.
there was a thing that we heard in Dan's microphone.
Yeah, I could have sworn like, no, maybe I did something. Did I do?
Yeah.
Was like,
It's
what
just like, you sons of bitches, I live there.
Yeah, and I was just like, I swear to God, if this house is haunted again, like I'm out.
what was the thing? What was the line?
So it's early in the episode.
Yeah, it's like within the first. I don't think we even
a couple
started talking
minutes.
about the game yet. We were still just doing our regular bullshit.
Yeah, but it's in the first couple minutes, and Dan's talking, and then all of a sudden, like, there's a lull in the conversation, and we just maybe not, maybe someone's talking, I don't remember, but during the conversation, we just hear, and then we stop, and I call it out. I'm like, what was that? And Dan's like, yeah, you heard that too, and so we like,
Yeah,
and
I'm
so,
like, I thought it was Angie or me, or someone was just going.
yeah, and so Dan even like breathes into the microphone to see like if
Yeah,
that
if I
was
could
the sound, and-
reproduce it.
yeah,
like, no,
and we're like, that's not the sound, no. And so we still don't know what that was, but that was the After the Empire episode.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Hey, we should listen to that episode again and see if we can hear it.
I know. I have the sound in the mixer here, but we're
Are you
recording
having
with
like a
it. So.
soundboard now just for like hyping up people with ghost sounds?
Well, yeah, because like that happened on Games Overboard podcast. So when a couple days later, when we recorded Well House Exorcism, which is my wife and I that run that one, I'm like, hey, this is fun for our listeners, and I play like the whole clip of like the whole conversation we had. And then I also have just the sound isolated and amplified so it's louder. And so we play it a couple times and we're just like, nope, don't like that.
Fun.
Yeah.
You should come and visit.
As I say, you all seem awesome. Do not want to go to that house.
Guys, thank you so much. Like, if you have any questions for us or anything like,
Tell them about Mepitar.
Oh yeah, so we're currently working on a game right now that is going to be coming out next year, I would say.
Probably. We're going to be demoing at Essen.
Yeah.
All right.
oh, going to Essen.
Give the full name and company name and everything like that. Yeah. So
Spartan Editions.
it's part of SPG Games is what he goes
Yeah.
by. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Spartan Edition Games.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And Chris Loiseau is his name.
Mm-hmm.
It's French.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a guy who's had like he's a French person. He's had like a 30-year-long,
Yeah, 20, maybe 20.
20 plus year long role-playing universe, D&D fantasy-esque, and he's written source books for it and a bunch of stuff like that, and he's been just doing that on the side, and then has decided to fully commit himself, and actually has a bunch of board games coming out set in that universe now.
Yeah.
So we have a game called Mepitok, or possibly Cities of Mepitok, or like but probably just the name will be Mepitok, set in this like a collapsed capital city in his universe. And it's all, you're playing different adventuring parties, and like it's a exploration game, sort of like a la vein of like a Mage Knight, but we've streamlined it a lot, and it's a lot more of like a quicker dice chucker kind of setup, but still with the
Nice.
detail of building out a party and
Yeah.
having stat trees and area control as a scoring mechanism. And yeah.
That's
We're
awesome.
working.
I like the sound of this.
Yeah, so that'll be the next thing you'll see from the two of us at
Yeah.
least. And the After the Empire expansion is in out of our hands playtesting now. We've
Ooh.
haven't been working on that for like 8 months or something.
Ran one, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I wasn't there. So yeah, so Great Blue Fox is actively playtesting that, but it's probably also a year or so.
Next
Out.
year,
Yeah,
yeah.
at some point. So
All right.
After the Empire expansion.
I'm excited.
yeah, we're excited.
Yeah,
If
maybe,
it's well received, we got a bunch more up our sleeves.
And in the expansion, at least at this time, we'll see what survives.
Mhm.
In the expansion, there are 2 cards that bolster your strategy
Mhm.
of not having any farms.
Yes.
Fern farm with the mushroom farm.
The Mushroom Hunter, yeah.
Mushroom hunter. Yeah.
okay. All right. So I have to find those cards, buy them before PJ does.
No.
You gotta crop block 'em. Yeah.
Drop block.
Yeah, crop block.
Hey,
'em.
draft.
Yeah, hate drafting.
I don't know, that might ruin my strategy, but it could be a good one. I don't know. We'll try it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Eventually, I'm gonna probably buy the deluxe components for the game too. They're just too cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really
well,
are.
my guess is with the expansion, they'll probably run everything. Like you
Okay.
can probably just buy deluxe fight expansions. You can probably buy the whole Kickstarter original, whatever you're looking for. Grey Fox tends to just redo the printings when that
Yeah.
happens. So
Cool.
Okay. Oh, that'd be really cool if there's just like an upgrade kit. Like,
Probably.
they had an upgrade kit with the last expansion, which was a reprint campaign. So I'm sure they'll just make the upgrade kits again if they think there's enough interest in it.
yeah,
And if not, I mean, like there are copies out there you could probably find.
yeah.
Well, thanks for having us on. We appreciate
Cool,
it.
yeah.
Well, hey,
Thank you so much for reaching out to us and
thanks for
finding us. Yeah,
Well, thanks for inviting us on the show. It's been a blast.
yeah. We love it. We appreciate it. We love talking to designers about your journeys through your process and everything, and getting the game released. You're welcome on the show anytime.
Anytime, man.
Ask us back if you want us back. We'll be happy
Yep.
to. Yeah.
Sounds good to us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a definite yes.
Hi,
What are
Toby.
you doing right now? I was just saying how good we were at training cats off the tables.
Well, this one is Toby, and he needs to have his butt shown.
Does that mean coon?
Yeah, he's a Maine Coon. Yeah, a runt,
I love-
runt of the litter. He's a small Maine Coon.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. he's the runt.
I really like coons a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. We taught him to like play fetch and sit and jump through hoops and
They're
all
just a
kinds of
great
stuff.
breed of cat.
Oh, they're
really
so
pretty.
good. Yeah.
They also can't meow properly often, so it's just like, eh.
He does a sassy meow,
Okay,
like a
yeah.
very annoyed
Yeah.
sounding meow.
Now,
Nice.
one of her cats can't meow. She just goes.
Exactly.
Squeaks.
Yeah.
She squeaks.
They didn't get that genetic note. Yeah.
Interesting.
Out of here.
Well, that's a great way to end this interview.
Yep. Oh, well, awesome. Thanks for having us on. That was a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, just have a great night, guys, and we really
did.
appreciate it.
Thanks for staying up late with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime. We'll do it again. Anytime.
All right. See ya.
All right.
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Later, guys.